How often do we hide who we really are so that no one can actually see the real us? Hazrati Maulana Jalaluddin Rumi writes in one of his ghazals, Basi kampir dar chador ze mardan borde umr o zar mabin chador to an bengar ke dar chador nehan bashad. بسی ماه و بسی فتنه به زیر چادر کهنه بسی پالانی لنگی که در برگستوان باشد بسی خرگه سیاه باشد درو ترکی چو مه باشد. Many are the old ones. Hazrati Maulana is referring to old women here. Many are the old ones in a chador who carried away the life and gold of brave men. Don't see the chador. See that one who is hidden in the chador. Many moons or many mistresses and many temptations or maybe seductions are under the old chador. Many lame, sluggish beasts of burden are with the horse armor that is worn in battle. Many are the black tents that have inside a Turk like the moon. So, what Hazrati Maulana is telling us in this ghazal, that what we show to the world is not necessarily who we really are. We present one thing on the outside, while on the inside is a different reality that sometimes we know and sometimes we don't know. To hide that self, we cover ourselves with a chador. In modern terms, we wear masks. We wear these masks in the world in order to present an image to others so that we can get what we want, or we can have people like us, or to hide that part of ourself that we want to keep tucked away in the shadows. I want to show you what I want to show you, because if I show you the true, complete, whole, or real me, you might abandon me physically or emotionally, and I would be alone in this world. However, often we begin to think that this mask I am wearing, this persona, is who I really am. Sometimes the mask I wear and present is actually driven consciously or unconsciously by my shadow side. That is the part of me that I do not want to acknowledge or admit that I have, the part that is under the chador, be it either bad or good. I know that I am acting out, and sometimes I don't even care that I am, or I am unaware that I am. But again, this is not who I really am, because when I wear a mask, I am portraying an incomplete picture of myself, and thereby an inaccurate picture of myself. I am in essence living a lie, even though I might not even realize that I am. So how do we find and reveal that complete picture of ourself, our integrated self, our whole self, our accurate self, our true self? I was taught years ago by my sheikh that in the Mevlevi way, all of the answers are in adab. Now, first of all, if you don't know what a sheikh is a spiritual leader and teacher who has been given that particular title within a dervish order, which is called a tariqat. Now, in the Mevlevi order of dervishes, one is given ijazat, that is given permission to be a sheikh, only by the Maqam Chalabi of the Mevlevi order, who is the spiritual head of the order and the direct male descendant of Hazrati Maulana Jalaluddin Rumi. At the time of this recording, the Maqam Chalabi of the Mevlevi order is Farooq Hemdem Chalabi, who followed his father, Jalaluddin Bakr Chalabi, who was the previous Maqam Chalabi until his passing. Now, as you might logically presume, the Mevlevi order of dervishes in particular are followers of the teachings of the mystic poet Hazreti Maulana Jalaluddin Rumi. So, continue with my story. My sheikh said to me, everything one needs to learn about spirituality and ego is in adab. In English, adab is difficult to translate. It's an Arabic word that means something like etiquette or good manners or refinement or even decorum and the like. It is interesting to note that the word adab and its derivatives do not appear in the Quran. But there is a hadith that is related by al-Samani, who lived in the 12th century, and is considered by some late hadith scholars as a weak tradition, yet it bears a true meaning, and it goes something like this. My Lord has educated me, adabani Rabbi, or my Lord has given me adab, and so he excelled in educating me, or he made my adab excellent or beautiful. Now, in terms of the Mevlevi dervishes, I would offer it means something more like the appropriate behavior, in the appropriate way, at the appropriate time, with the appropriate mindset or intention, and with a humble heart. This includes simple behaviors of the dervish like when to bow, when to sit or stand, when to speak or not speak in relation to the sheikh or other people who deserve respect and honor, toward each other, and toward other people in general. There is in every act of adab an outward action and a necessary inward action, with the inward action being more important. The purpose and goal of adab is to teach the dervish not only the respect that is to be given to all other people and things, but more importantly, is to train the ego, to train the nafs, so that the dervish might recognize the proper size of his ego. It is to help the dervish's ego to become right-sized. Jalaluddin Rumi writes in his Masnavi, Az Khoda juyim tawfiq adab, bi adab mahrum gasht az lutf rab. Bi adab tanha nakhod ra dasht bad, balk atash dar hame afaq zad. We are seeking from God the attainment of adab. The one without adab, that is, bi adab, is deprived of the kindness of the Lord. The one without adab does not possess badness for himself alone. Rather, he sets fire in all of the quarters of the earth. He also writes in his Masnavi, Vaz adab ma'asum o pak o mad malak, Vaz adab por nur gashtast in falak. Because of adab, this heavenly sphere became full of light, and because of adab, the angels became virtuous and pure. The first time I walked into the Mevlevi Tekke here in Konya, Turkey, there were two signs hanging in the entranceway of the Tekke. Now, first of all, let me say that the Tekke is a place where the dervishes gather together to learn from the sheikh, to pray, to do ritual practices together, to both learn and practice adab. Now, in the old days, the Tekke was more of a lodge where traveling dervishes would come and spend the night. Now, when I walked into the Tekke, the first sign I saw said, Bu yol edep yolurdur. This way is the way of adab. And the second sign said, Edeple giren, lutuf ile chikar. The one who enters with adab exits with grace, or exits with pleasantness. In the Mevlevi order, adab is both graceful and highly refined. For instance, even when standing while waiting for the sheikh to enter the building, the Mevlevi dervishes would stand in a posture called ayak muhulamek, with the right big toe over the left, the right arm crossed over the left and with hands resting on their shoulders, and the head lowered and tilted slightly towards the heart. This was literally embodying the shape of the Arabic letter alif, which is basically a straight line, a symbol of making oneself small, a lesson of humility to be learned, embodied, and demonstrated. The dervishes would wait until the sheikh bowed toward them. Then all of the dervishes would bow toward the sheikh at the same time. The sheikh would be the first one to sit on the floor and would then give permission to the dervishes to also sit. Both the sheikh and the dervishes would then kiss the floor as they sat. The kissing of the floor, and for that matter, anything they would take hold of, especially if it were handed to them, was also a form of greeting and respect, recognizing that there was a ruhi kul, a universal spirit that existed in everything, that there was a recognition and an acknowledgement of an absolute unity of which all things were a part, and the dervish was merely a part, showing respect for everything that was not me. The Mevlevi dervishes also practiced what is in Turkish called bensizlik, literally without I-ness. It is a practice in which the dervishes learns to recognize the predominance of his ego by leaving the pronoun I out of his speech. Now, ben in Turkish is the personal pronoun for I, and the practice was to leave out all references to I when the dervish spoke. It was both a means of demonstrating politeness and also a way to train the dervish to become aware of the speech that he was using and was directing toward himself. I, and then to shape his ego into becoming right-sized. A dervish might also say, Bu fakir, this poor one, instead of using I, or might use the word biz, which is the pronoun for we, instead of using the singular ben, the pronoun for I. Now, to complete the conversation, it is interesting to note that the use of personal pronouns are not necessary in Turkish grammatical construction because the subject is included in the verb itself. So, for instance, ben İsmailim, that is, I am Ismail, can also be said İsmailim, that is, without the use of ben. You can hear it, can't you? İsmailim. There is no emphatic I in the sentence. There is no ben in the sentence. That is now bensizlik. It is the practice of speaking without ben, without I. A great part of the adab of the Mevlevi dervish is to think about the other, that is, the one that is not me. When addressing another individual in very traditional Mevlevi adab, the dervish would always speak in the formal form of you. They would use siz instead of sen, or use the Persian manzuram, which means something like the object of my intention. That is, you are the one that is more important than me. Rumi tells us a story in his Masnavi about adab and how it relates to another person. He writes, someone came to the door of a beloved friend. His friend said, "Who are you, O trustworthy one?" And he said, "It's me." His friend said, "Go. It's not the time." In other words, he said, "You're not ready. It is not the place for the raw at such a feast. Except for the fire of absence and separation, who will cook the raw? Who will rescue him from hypocrisy? That poor person left, and for a year in travel, burned in separation from the sparks. That burned one became cooked, so he returned. Again, he walked around the house of the friend. He knocked on the door with 100 fears and with adab, so that a word that was be-adab, that is a word without adab, without proper etiquette and intention, would not leap from his lips. His friend called out, "Who is at the door?" He said, "It's you at the door, O heart stealer." He said, "Now, since you are me, O me, come in. There is not room in the house for two me's." So, in order to put me, my, I, or myself in proper perspective and size, I need to become aware of my relationship to you. It's hard to avoid saying I, isn't it? I am on the path of becoming right-sized when I become conscious of my selfish nature and how I have put me first and have not acknowledged the you that exists. I begin to approach the right size of my ego when I begin my sentence with you. In a Rubai, Hazrat Maulana writes, "Ni man manam oni to toyi ni to mani. Ham man manam o ham to toyi ham to mani. Man ba to chonanam e negare khotani. Kandar galatam keman to am ya to mani." I am not me, and you are not you. You are not me. Also, I am me, and you are you. Also, you are me. I am with you in such a way that, oh beauty of Khotan, oh sweetheart of Khotan, that I am mistaking whether I am you or you are me.